Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to talk about something that it's been on my mind for a while. It's pretty much, why are games so overpriced nowadays? And to join me is my fellow friend Harrison.
What is up, everyone? It's been a minute.
So, we know that games nowadays, the base price for most games is $70. But many people are very upset that $70, and in your opinion, is the $70 that they price pointed justified?
Well, $70 is starting to become the new standard, and to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it as a consumer, not just because of the fact that it's now a $10 difference from the previous $60 benchmark that we've been so familiar with for the last maybe more than a decade, longer, maybe a decade and a half, maybe even two. My issue is that because it's starting to become a industry standard, they're simply marketing as that standard rather than improving the quality of the games that are released. Don't get me wrong, I do think $70 is worth it for games that can give me hours upon hours upon hours of content that just keeps me engaged. You know, looks amazing, soundtrack's amazing, visuals, graphics, how well it runs, things like that, and my own overall enjoyment and engagement with the product. Now, on the other hand, because it's become an industry standard, or at least on its way to, that just means that the other companies, and I'm looking at you AAA publishers, they're simply gonna pump out a game doing the same thing that they've been doing and charge $70 for it because everyone else is doing it. And you don't need to charge $70 for a game if you're not providing a quality or quantity amount of game that would warrant a $70 charge. There are absolutely a lot of games that I would pay $70 for. Hell, recently I just bought Elden Ring,
Mm-hmm.
and Elden Ring has been priced at 60, right? And dude, I probably would have paid 80 for it because there's just so much content on it. But Call of Duty for $70. Now, I am a little bit biased. I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan myself. However, I have played a couple, and I don't know. For maybe it's just because it's not my type of genre overall. It's very repetitive. It's not very innovative. There's only so much you can do when it comes to an FPS game like Call of Duty, and so because they don't innovate, in my opinion, I can't justify paying $70 for a game that is so similar to what I paid maybe 2 or 3 years prior. But what do you think?
I honestly don't like the $70 price point. I understand they put the $70 to keep up with market value. Even a $60 game we had played, like for example, I'm gonna use this because it's the most relevant that I know is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That was a $60 game, but everybody know it didn't feel like a $60 game. There was incomplete graphics, bugs that should have been fixed, that shouldn't even been there in the game in the first place. Sometimes people feel like when you pay for a $60 game, you're not really getting a $60 game. Right now it's modernly $70. What else will you buy? They probably will come with what, battle passes, you buy skins, you buy other accessories that comes with the game. Most games nowadays isn't just normally $70. You get $70 for the base game, but then they'll engage you to buy other things with cosmetics, skins, other things to boost your account with. But I never really found the reason why the $70 justification was there. I mean, I understand like, oh, $70 you need because, like for example, right? If you have games, you have voice actors, right? You inflate the prices to pay the voice actors. I'm like, okay, but that doesn't cause for other games that doesn't need voice acting. Are they still $70? But then there'll be people be like, well, this $70 also compensate with the new graphics and all that stuff too. And I'm like, but that still wouldn't really make sense. I understand there's better graphics nowadays, but like, what causes the whole base model from a $60 game changed all the way up to a $70 game right now? Because if we're doing just in terms of graphics change, okay, but what else changed? Sometimes gameplay isn't fully completed and they still release the game. Or sometimes the game's not even fully done, so they have to release DLCs. What really justifies a $70 game to be released? They're just doing $70 because probably inflation, obviously, and then just to keep up with the market price nowadays.
So, I think when it comes to the example you said was DLC, there was one game that comes to mind that I played when I was a teenager that really stuck with me with how the marketing and how the just development was. It was Final Fantasy 15. Oh my god. $60 for the base game and then DLC that you had to pay for to get. And because they wanted to change and then they released a DLC on that on top of other things, it just was like it overall it probably reached close to 100, maybe over $100 worth of content. Because those DLCs were like maybe 5, 10, $30, and that's on top of the price you pay for the incomplete game. DLCs have become a standard for a lot of these online games, and or at least any game that's released digitally. And the fact that you have to spend money to complete a game that you already paid $60 or more recently $70 to buy is ridiculous in my opinion. Because if I'm going to pay $60 or $70, I would expect a complete product, would I not? And would that not be fair to expect? Another example I'm thinking of actually is Persona 3 Reload, which is a recent remake of Persona 3. Not Persona 3 Fez, not Persona 3 Portable, vanilla Persona 3. Okay? Graphics look great, voice acting is actually a lot better than I thought, and like it's just overall a great game, and I probably plan on playing it at some point if it goes on sale, so I could just get an updated experience of my childhood. The only issue is that they said, screw it, we're gonna make it like Festival, Persona 3 Festival, and released the DLC part, which is the second half of the game, for a price tag of, I think it was like another $40, $50. I will have to double check on that. But it just felt so frustrating because I'm thinking back to, well, back then, yeah, sure, games didn't cost as much to, produce and make and develop as they do now, presumably. But back then, you buy Persona 3 Fest, if we're still gonna use that example, you got the entire game, you got the full story right there. But now you have to spend an extra $40, $50 to complete the story. And what does that do for new people? I mean, if you have the funds, go for it, right? But it could just be kind of a turnoff for some people. And again, I'm just making a lot of generalizations, not because I strongly believe in them, but more so the fact that there are people who believe what I'm saying and have some kind of qualms with how the market for $70 games and DLC as a whole have come out. And I'm going to actually bounce off my previous point about Elden Ring. So the thing about Elden Ring, and it might sound a little hypocritical because I just used Persona 3 Reload as an example, but Elden Ring $60, you could pour hundreds of hours into that game. Hundreds. There's just so much content for $60. The reason why I would actually advocate to pay the extra $40 for the DLC is because I believe it adds way more content. The DLC is expanding on the story, expanding on the whole new bit of content that's already so expansive in the game. Yeah, I sound like I'm glazing Elden Ring right now. I don't know if it's worth it. For example, in let's say Pokemon's case, you pay, I don't know, $30? Is it $30 for like DLCs typically for Pokemon? You might get I don't know, a couple hours of content, new area, new legendary, new Pokemon. I mean, that's great and all, but I don't know if it's enough to justify $30. That's half the game. You're paying 1.5 the amounts of let's say we'll use Scarlet and Violet as an example, only to get maybe a little bit more content than base game. I don't know. The standard that they establish, they just kind of think that, oh, they could slap a number on it and people will buy. And unfortunately, that's the truth. People will buy.
Yeah, and you're right. People will buy. No matter like for example, I slap a $75 for this new game. People will buy it because that's how the market value goes. It's a game they want to play. It's a game like, is it overpriced? Hell yes it is. Public will still play it. because they want to play it. Like they'll pay the price because they want to play this game. And obviously, the question like, why the hell is this price so high compared to like what it was normally? Even if we say it, would the market even change?
Don't think so.
Some people are wondering why is this $70 now? Okay, they take the cost of inflation has the common cost to make market value prices. I'm like, okay, but then most people nowadays have like a download version of the game. They never don't get the cartridge anymore. Or you download it to your thing, so you just download it. So you don't get the cartridge, you don't get the case of it. So you're really not making money off the product base you actually made. And then, like I said, for some games, voice acting. There's more voice acting now than ever. If you're creating new games, especially sequels to games, there'll definitely be more players in the game. So you have to pay the cost of voice acting. The new game has to keep up with the new engine, so you get paid for how much that engine can actually take on with that new game.
That's true. You also have to pay for the rights of the engine as
Right.
well.
Right. And I understand those prices too. Some games, I don't understand like how certain games are justified of like, okay, $70 base point to what it feels like just a regular $60 game. But do you really think like $70 is justified for like everything they've done so far? Like I understand it's to keep up with the times nowadays, but that's pretty steep.
We also have to remember that for the general public or the general player base or population, a game is a form of entertainment that they've budget. Let's say we stuck with the $60 normal. At $60, think about it. Okay, people have budget $60, so then as part of their monthly bills or whatever, however their finances are, they think, okay, $60. This is purely for my entertainment game and personal time and development. I want to spend the $60 on the game because I want to enjoy it. Now, $10 might not seem like a lot, $10 difference, but hard to say. Even if $10 might not seem like a lot, it means a lot in the long run. I just don't think the $70 is sustainable for people because, in my opinion, it didn't reach my standard of what I expected from a $60, $70 game with DLC where I want to have a quote unquote complete experience.
Right. If this is just a base market value right now, as it is, $70, will it just continue to go up to maybe next time the market value be based 80? But why? You can't keep using the same of a rise in production, rise of voice acting, rise of the new GPU chip they're using. Because think about it, right? We had these things for a while now, and $60 was still the market value.
If $70 was warranted, then I would do it. Right? But like you said, that's not the problem. Am I gonna pay $70? I want a $70 worth of game. I'm not saying that all games are $70. I mean, like, there are plenty of indie developers, lesser known, that charge less than that, and their games are great. Heck, there are games that are free that garner such a large community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, let's think about Lethal Company. Sure, short-lived. It was only a couple months or so, but at the time, it goes to show that you don't need to have a lot of money or have a lot of resources to make a game that people want to enjoy. And I think what some of these game developers just need to understand is that they should listen to their fan base because that's exactly who they're catering to. If they want to have a change in the next game, well, implement it in a way that's still enjoyable, right? And obviously, review it on a case-by-case basis. We don't need to have everything that the community wants. But we want to have something fresh, something that differentiates the game from one another. Make it so that I feel like supporting this company for what it is. Like, for myself, I didn't think I would like playing a Souls-like game like Elden Ring, but here I am, enjoying the heck out of it.
You guys have any thoughts? Leave them down below, and we'll see you guys later. Take care.
Peace.